Welcome back to the BMX Podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Kevin Wilson. I'm the host today, and I'm lucky enough to have Shane Wimberly join me. Thank you very much, Shane, for coming on, bro.
Oh, no problem.
So recently I've talked to a couple of guests on the show, and the subject of motocross, dirt bikes, and that type of thing has come up. And as we all know that the sport of BMX kind of stemmed from motocross and dirt bikes that were ridden up at Saddleback and Carlsbad and these different places. So I thought it might be cool to do an episode on motocross and dirt bikes. And talking to Shane has a long history going back. We're basically the same age and probably just as long as I have on a dirt bike. And he actually much more successful on a dirt bike, I think. Right, Shane? I mean, more than me.
I did okay. I had some success.
Nice, man.
Nothing high level, but
just to put everything in reference for the viewers out there, what my background on dirt bikes and that type of thing. I've told the story before that my dad was a compulsive hoarder, and my dad used to go buy entire yard sales and make us go and pick up the stuff with him on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And inevitably he would get motorcycles, and he would get every type of crappy motorcycle you could possibly imagine at a yard sale. So I had Briggs and Stratton. My brother and I had Briggs and Stratton mini bikes when we were, 4 and 5 and 3 and very, very young. So I think that I had 3 mini bikes before I even could ride a mini bike. And so that's kind of my background on it. I've had dirt bikes my whole life. And Shane, what's kind of what formed? How'd you get into the sport? What's your kind of background? How did it start for you?
It's the same as my BMX. 2 older brothers, which got me into BMX, and then they also got me into the motocross or the moto. And thinking about it, we did have some of the Briggs and Stratton. The older brother had one of those. And then I want to say the 81 Christmas time, I got a 1980 RM80 as my first official bike, super fast, probably way faster than what I could handle. But we went with it and raced a few times at Verona. In fact, I had a picture. I had stalled it, probably crashed. And so somebody had taken a picture of me trying to get it started again. But did some races at Verona. And then I had stopped to get back into BMX around 12 or 13. And then did my whole race BMX thing. And when I got out of BMX, still had this RM80. So this would have been in the 1990 range. So it was 10 years old, had been sitting in the garage. We restored it, got it back to rideable condition. We went out to the desert, and I was a little bit big for it, but it was still fun. And decided to go ahead and go to the motorcycle shop dealership, got a 91 CR250, and away we went.
Did you say Corona or Barona?
Barona. Barona was my first. I did race some Corona for BMX. Never did the motorcycle track there. Barona was at that time was probably half hour from where I lived.
Got it. Okay.
So, and then there was also a racetrack down by the border, Speedway 117, I believe it was called. My older brother would race there. That was a Wednesday night thing. And so that's kind of how my love of 2 wheels
started.
Yeah.
So you were already racing BMX when you got your RM80 though.
Correct. And I raced BMX from when I was like 6.5, 7 through probably 9 or 10, and then stopped and then started riding the motorcycle. And there was a race at Rancho, BMX race, when I was 12 or 13-ish. We went out and just checked things out, didn't race, and decided, hey, I want to go back to the BMX thing. And then, like I said, that's kind of where that picked back up until I got the CR, and then did that and ended up early 92 making a blunder of a mistake and broke my wrist really bad. So
Yeah, I want to get into that, dude.
Yeah.
But first, you came out of the box on an RM80, dude. Good for you.
I did, and like I said, it was fast. It was plenty bike, but I will say before I did that, and this was probably why my brother thought I could handle it. He had a 1977 Mako 500.
Okay.
Sweet bike. And like I was telling you, we would go, there was a flat area down by the waterfront, completely open. So people would bring their bikes. And I was obviously really small. So he'd put me up onto the seat. He'd already started it because that thing was a beast. The kickback on that thing, you'd break your foot and ankle if it kicked back on you. So he would get it started.
Yeah.
The trick. And get it in gear, and away I would go. And when I was ready to come in, he'd wave me in, and I would slowly come up to him, and he would basically catch me because I couldn't touch the ground.
Yeah.
So we did pretty well with that. I don't remember ever crashing. And yeah, that was a blast.
So you learned the clutch on a Mako 500?
I don't think I ever even shifted because the clutch, the handle. My hands, I couldn't reach the.
You wouldn't reach out.
No, so it wasn't like I was totally blasting.
You just put it in second gear. You had someone put it in second gear for you. You just rode it.
Yeah, we would just get me rolling and go, and it was fun.
Wow,
just cruise around.
That's very cool. You weren't jumping though, right? You were just riding on a flat.
On the Mako? Oh no,
yeah.
I was just riding around. And like I said, that was a really good area because it was totally flat, and you could see everybody around you. So there was no danger of colliding with anybody. So it was a perfect area. And of course, they made sure I had helmet and I was geared up. But yeah, that was fun. What gear were you running, dude? Oh, it was just a helmet. And
yeah, I want to know, dude. Tell me what you're riding in. I want to see if we rode the same stuff.
I want to say he had a Bell Moto, and at that point it was probably maybe a Bell Moto 1. Honestly, I do not recall what I wore. I don't even know if I had boots at that point.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was just bone, bare, basic helmet, because I think I was using his helmet. Sure, I had goggles. So, like I said, I never crashed it because he would not have let me continue to do that. Yeah, so that was fun. That was good times, and that's kind of how I learned just to the balance portion of it. And as you keep your speed up, it's easier to stay up, obviously. And slower you go, you're gonna end up tipping over. So,
the biggest piece of advice that my dad gave me that I passed on to my kids when they started riding dirt bikes was, whatever you do, lean back. If you're gonna crash, put your ass over that back tire. That's your only hope, man.
Well, there's one area that I had my own bike and he had his own bike, and it was a downhill. And I remember him. I don't remember. I think he had crashed, and basically he remembered being told, if you think you're gonna crash, lean back and pin it. And that's what he did, and it didn't work out so well. But
wow.
Yeah,
dude, yeah. I had mini bikes. I always had we had the Briggs and Stratton, really crappy stuff, and then we went. My brother and I went halfers on a like a 78 YZ80 with the two shocks in the back before it had the monoshock. And we had that for a little bit. We had that for a little while, but we sold that for some reason. And then we wanted a K. All my friends had like KX, RMs, 65s or 60s at that time, I think they were, or 80s. And we wanted a dirt bike so bad. And then one year for Christmas, my dad goes, well, you might be getting something special this year. So we're like, oh, bitch, we're going to get a dirt bike. And this must have been, I don't know, 79, 80 maybe. And we wake up early on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning. We run out to the living room, and there's a Honda CT90 sitting in our living room. And we're all, what the hell is this? Have you ever seen a CT90?
I haven't.
Dude, it's like a moped. It looks like a Honda Passport. And we're like, what the fuck is this thing? And we can't race it. We can't ride this thing. It was like for like an old man. It was like a trail bike. It was like, I'm going to put a picture of a CT90 on the final clip of this video. But we're like, what the hell is this, Dad? And I was like, oh my God, this is the new thing. It's a trail bike. Oh my God. So we had to ride the CT90 for, I don't know, dude, years, dude. It was like it was the most embarrassing thing. My friends, we'd go out to El Mirage Dry Lake, and my brother would I go, I don't even want this damn thing. Brian, you can have it. So my brother took the CT90, and I think I got an XL 250 off of out of the recycler, and we would go out to El Mirage Dry Lake with this thing. But it was really bad, dude. The CT90 was horrible. That's what we had to deal with. I wasn't lucky enough to get an RME. Was it a full floater when you got it, or did it have two shocks?
No, it had two shocks.
Okay, all right.
No, the full floater, I want to say, came out a year or two later.
Okay.
The thing was nice. Never got one.
I always wonder, what was a PE? Was a PE a dirt bike? Was it an enduro?
Wasn't that for like a PE 60 or something?
Well, they had PE 500s, PE 250s.
Oh, I don't know.
I always just wonder I never really. It looked like a race bike, but I never knew what a PE was.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Nice, dude. So, can I share a story? I've been wanting to share a story with the viewers for a while now. And please, and after I tell the story, I won't tell nothing. I won't say nothing about myself. We can talk about you. I appreciate it. So, like I said, my father was a compulsive hoarder, and one day we went to a yard sale down the street on Bank Street in South Pasadena, and there was a guy out there selling this old dirt bike that was in pieces. And it was missing the front wheel. The engine was seized. There was no handlebars. There was no cables. There's no nothing. It was like half of a motorcycle. And my dad says, "How much do you want for the dirt bike?" And the guy goes, "You take it for $20." So my dad bought this dirt bike from a yard sale for $20. It turned out that it was like a '73 TM400 Suzuki. It was the orange one. So if that puts the year on there, I think it's a 73 or a 74. This is probably 79, 80 when we bought the thing. But my dad, for the next several months, would kind of cobble it together, buy parts here and there. And we were always at the Suzuki shop in Las Tunas in the Tipple City. And one day my dad was down there. We were getting parts for this TM400. And the parts manager goes, "You guys have a TM400? And my dad goes, "Yeah, I bought it at a yard sale. It's seized. I'm trying to put," and the parts manager's like, "That bike killed more people than smallpox." And my dad starts laughing and goes, "Yeah, whatever." And so the whole time we had this dirt bike, my dad would always tease us like, "Hey, don't forget that bike's killed more people than smallpox." But it was a real pain in the ass. We'd put parts on it, and then every Saturday morning, my dad thought that he had it running, that he thought he had it ready to run. And he would go out there and he'd kickstart the bike for about an hour, and then he'd get tired trying to get. Oh man! And my dad would get tired of kicking it. So one day my dad goes, "You know what? Wake up your brother. I need you guys to pull me down the street with the CT90." So my brother got out. So my brother gets out of bed. I'm like watching this whole thing. He has like thongs on, no shirt, OP shorts, and he's pulling my dad up and down the street, trying to pop start this dirt bike. And 10, 15, 20 times, hours go by, and my dad keeps trying to pop start it, won't start. And then finally, after like 3 hours pulling up and down the street, we hear this pop, 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 way, and this thing screaming. There was no spark arrestor, no muffler, no nothing. Straight pipe, just screaming. And we were like, yeah, we got it started. We were all jumping up and down, like, yeah, we got the bike started. And my dad's happy. But then the throttle sticks, and my dad starts shooting up the street behind my. Now, my brother still has the tow line connected to the back of the CT90. And my dad goes flying by him at like 30 miles an hour, can't control it. The throttle cable's stuck, whips the bike around. My brother goes flying off. My dad's pulling the CT90 up the street. And he finally got it stopped, and he's trying to pull the spark plug off the spark plug cap off of the spark plug, and it's shocking him. He's like, So he uses his hat, and he's trying to pull off, and he got out thing. But that's always a funny story that we've shared with the family over the years of us getting the TM400 started. And after we got that TM400 started, we would go out to the El Mirage Dry Lake, and just we were young, man, and we couldn't hold the bike up either, and we would just get that thing pinned in fifth gear and just flying down the dry lake. It was a great time on that team. It was an old bike, but it killed more people than smallpox. It was a good story. Yeah. Anyways, dude. So I would assume that it'd be similar to your Mako 500.
Well, he kept it pristine. He really kept it up. And like I said, he had the trick on being able to kickstart it. And no matter what he did, he always wore a boot to make sure in case it did kick back on him. Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't think he ended up selling it, letting it go, unfortunately. But yeah, he babied that bike. It was just pristine. It would have been worth a lot at this point.
Yeah, man. Like we had a DT 250, we had a CZ 250, and we had a Greaves, like a 56 Greaves, Villers Greaves that had like a leading link suspension on it. It was the weirdest thing you've ever seen. And we had all the crappy motorcycles that were so out of date. And it was, we were always trying to, but we always go to the desert and invite a friend that had a really good bike. So we would get to ride the really good bike.
Well, being able to ride slower bikes would help give you a foundation. Yeah. To where when you would ride something faster, you'd at least have a good stable foundation and a base.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I learned the clutch when I was 5 years old, and I going forward, I could always ride anything I wanted to, and but I didn't. I left motocross right around when I got back, when I left for the Marine Corps. I really didn't touch a bike until I got back out. But you kept with it, and you actually, I think you said that you raced. You raced a little bit, a little Supercross maybe?
Yeah, I did some. Well, to backtrack, I did the Supercross, amateur Supercrosses, which were the Sunday after the night show from Saturday night. And so San Diego would have one, Anaheim would have one, the LA Coliseum would have one. And but I did those after I had just totally destroyed my wrist. And I ended up doing a couple of those. In fact, I believe it was before Anaheim, the amateur day at Anaheim. I ended up seeing Eric Carter. And so we got to talk a little bit then, which was kind of nice to talk to him away from the BMX scene. And I think that was the first time that him and I had ever really talked civilly, had a good conversation. But yeah, I ended up, in fact, the Coliseum race, I ended up, it was the last race of the series for the amateurs. And they ended up putting me in with like the top group for some reason. Did okay. And then the race at Anaheim, I ended up winning my group. Because you did 2 races, and so my scores ended up being better than everybody else. So that's cool. But because of my wrist injury, I just couldn't take the pounding. It just wouldn't take it. So I ended up getting out of it, and then went into a dual slalom mountain bike for a little bit.
Can I ask you a couple of questions about that? Because
yeah,
how does so let's say that let's go back as 1990, 1989. I'm kicking ass on a KX 125, and I want to race this race that you were racing amateur after Supercross. How the hell would I get into that race? What would I have to do? I can't just show up and sign up at the Coliseum, right? I would have to do some. What are the steps that you have to accomplish?
From what I remember, I didn't do any qualifiers. You had to be a member. So you pay for the membership, would cover the insurance, and you'd be part of the association. Sign up, and you could race.
You didn't have to prove that you could clear these jumps or
No. So we didn't run. We ran the same track, but they bulldozed. They would cut the jumps way down. It wasn't as gnarly as it would be the Saturday night. Not even close. And like when I did the Coliseum, they chopped the track to where we didn't go up the peristyles.
Oh, you didn't do the peristyle.
We didn't get to go up the peristyles. No, they made it because they knew they have riders of all levels. So they would make it as safe as they could. Wasn't there anything?
Wasn't there a picture? Didn't Larry Brooks do a major bail down the peristyle? I think it was like
he did at the bottom.
Crazy bad crash.
Yeah. It was kind of like the remember the old Wide World of Sports, the old downhill jump.
Yeah,
it was kind of like that. Yeah, it totally kicked him.
Yeah. For those out there, I was telling Shane on last time I talked to Shane. Shane said that he went to school with Doug Davis in San Diego, and I mentioned before we started the video today that I went to school with Larry Brooks, and we weren't friends. We ran in different circles, but I did go to high school and junior high with him. And I told Shane how he used to have this factory Suzuki truck out in front of his house all the time. We were very jealous of him, but he was a fast kid in the country for a long time. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and we would always on a separate note. When he went to Supercross and got on a 250 at the time, right? We'd always cheer for him. Yeah, and he'd be in the lead for like the first 2 or 3 laps, and he'd just slowly but surely get past. And we would always get bummed out that he didn't make it farther up in the pack by the end. But I think he was running for Chaparral at the time. I think so.
Makes sense.
Anyways, nice, man. So Supercross, I mean, is it as intimidating for a rider as it is? I mean, it looks like it'd be totally intimidating, man.
Like I said, the amateur races.
Even the amateurs, dude.
That was fun. The only bummer, because there were so many riders, you get maybe 1 or 2 laps for practice, and that was it. And there was a very fast run show. So, yeah, I remember going to the San Diego Supercross when I was younger and being on the floor, like looking to where I was looking at the jumps going, you can't even see anything because the jumps were so tall. You can't even see anything other than the face of the jump. That scared the hell out of me. It's like, holy crap. And so I guess riding it, you try not to ride over your head is, I guess, my best. And if things look intimidating to you, you you ride, because they made it to where you didn't have to jump anything.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they really toned down the track because they knew they didn't want people hurt. They didn't want riders hurt. And so, yeah, they would roll the top of the jumps. So I certainly wasn't doing triples. And if I remember right, the third jump on a triple would be just basically they really chopped it down. So you could jump it, and if you decided to and you didn't make it, it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Did you enjoy getting in the air on a dirt bike? I never enjoyed it.
I did when I was comfortable, and I knew it wasn't any fun. Like there was a 70-foot triple at Verona, and I did end up doing that, but that was pretty sketchy. But jumps, like I enjoyed doing drop downs, like to where you drop a level down. I enjoyed doing those. It depended upon what the jump was. Huge jumps, no.
I never jumped anything until I got my CRF 450 when I was almost 40 years old. And I remember coming out of a turn, there was a double. It was probably like a 10-foot double. And I was scared out of my mind, man. I never jumped anything in my whole life. Never jumped anything. And I was scared. And my buddy just said, "You just hit the gas, man. You'll clear right over it." And I did it, and I hit the gas, and like nothing. I was like, "Wow, dude, that was amazing." And yeah, dude, because I hadn't touched a dirt bike since I was in my late 20s. And I bought a brand new CRF 450R, 2006. And I never even rode a practice lap on it. I went to race it. The first time I ever rode the bike, I raced it, and I was at not Racetown, on top of the 395 up going towards Victorville. What was the name of that? And I got second to last, I think, and I crashed like 4 times, and it was crazy, man. But I raced for about a year. I did Racetown a couple times. I raced the big track at what is it? I told you about earlier. The track in not Elsinore. What's that other track?
Oh, Glen Helen.
Glen Helen. I raced a big track at Glen Helen. Yeah, and there was like 30 guys. I think I got like 18th or something like that. Something 15th or something like mid pack, and that was my last race. I had fun. I was scared out of my mind. Yeah,
track at it. Probably my favorite track was Carlsbad. I raced there a few times. There weren't really any big jumps. It was just how fast could you go? How long could you hold on? It was really hard packed, and it was rough. But I enjoyed that.
I look back at it now. I look at Carlsbad. There's like multi-million-dollar homes in Carlsbad. Where the hell would there be a motocross track in Carlsbad? Is it by the water? Is it inland? Where the hell would it be?
You'd take the 5 up, and I want to say it was probably 10 miles inland from the 5.
Okay, all right.
And it was just kind of in the middle of nowhere. And
are there houses there now?
Oh yeah, it's full on development.
Okay, all right.
Like everything else.
I'm thinking that it's on the water or something crazy, man.
No, it was inland, and it was kind of like how I had told you that our local riding spot was Palm Avenue, and I knew the riding was on the wall there, and it probably is early 90s, where you start seeing them do the landscaping, where they're going to put homes. And it's like, well, our time here it's coming to an end. That place was awesome. It was just miles and miles. Teams would go out and test, so you could find outdoor tracks, basically outdoor tracks set up. You could trail ride. You could just anything you wanted was there. And like I said, you could you could go there for hours and never ride the same spot. It was awesome.
So that's where you got that's where you practiced for your amateur Supercross, whatever.
Correct. Well, that's where for Carlsbad. That was a good spot to train. And it was just a good spot to ride, just to get the fundamentals, to try to get in shape.
Well, Carlsbad was a legit track, right? They had a GP.
Oh, it was very legit. Oh, yeah. And like I had told you, there was a USGP that they ran there every year, where the world's best would come over. It was part of their series. Oh yeah, Carlsbad was legit. I mean, that was one of the most highly viewed shows on Wide World of Sports, is when they would show the Carlsbad race.
I'm gonna ask you a silly question, man. What is GP Grand Prix? Is that what it stands for?
Yeah, United States Grand Prix. And you'd have the top guys riding the 500s, like from the US, Glover, Ward, just those Bailey, men of men riding those bikes.
Let me ask you a question, man, because we came up in the same time frame, and we talked about Di Stefano before we started.
Uh-huh.
But I think back, my early memories of motocross are like Mike Bell,
Too tall,
Lackey, Tripes, Hannah. I mean, what are the guys that I always? This is a stupid question, dude. I've always wanted this, and maybe you can help me out. Brad Lackey. Now, have you ever heard the term of a lackey? Doing a lackey? Do you know what a lackey is?
No.
Okay. A lackey is a kick out. So, like, if they say you're riding your bike down the street and there's a Coke can on the side, and you kind of kick out and hit the Coke can. We, in my area, call that a lackey. Have you ever heard this before?
No. I would just call it a kick out.
Okay. All right. So I always was wondering if Brad Lackey invented the lackey, but I apparently not, because you've never even heard of the term lackey.
I don't know. Kind of, maybe it's like the Leary.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I always wondered if Brad Lackey, because I guess if you're in the air and you do a kick out, I thought that was maybe a lackey, considered a lackey, and that transferred onto the BMX on the BMX scene. But I don't know. I always wondered that.
You got me on that.
But I always liked Mike Bell, dude. I always thought he was fast, and Marty Tripes, and who else? Yeah, who do you remember from back then that you were watching a lot that was influenced you, maybe?
Probably when Ricky and Lachine, Bailey, O'Mara, those were the guys. Glover, Brock was a huge. I remember when he came out, when they had the special race at the Coliseum, and he broke out the pink JT gear.
Yeah.
And he basically said, I have to win if I'm going to wear this. And he won. That was – I really liked watching Bailey ride, just the little professor.
He always reminded me of Greg Hill, his riding style. Not flashy, just always took care of business.
He was just ultra smooth because his dad taught him well. Gary Bailey ran schools, and he taught him the fundamentals, body position, just everything to make him the rider he was. He had a fluke accident that paralyzed him.
Was that in Anaheim?
No, it was outdoor, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
It was an outdoor race. And he ended up landing, I want to say, on his back, and it paralyzed him.
Didn't Di Stefano have a bad injury too?
I don't know. I know.
I think he may be the same similar situation as David is.
And I know Ricky had his incident. His incident happened outdoors as well. He landed on somebody, broke his wrist really bad.
Who?
Johnson. No, who? Ricky Johnson.
Ricky Johnson. Okay, yeah. Ricky Johnson.
But no, I don't know that I necessarily had any favorites. I just enjoyed watching them because I considered them just great. And then I know Bob Hanna was kind of the intimidator. He was the bad boy that he didn't care who you were. He was going to go through you if he had to. So he was the first one that I remember being kind of just like whatever it took to win.
Who did Kent Howardson ride for? Was it Suzuki or Yamaha?
Kawasaki and Suzuki.
I'm sorry, Kawasaki and who?
And Suzuki. Yeah, number 17.
Was he before Barnett or he was after Barnett, right?
I believe he was actually a little bit before. And I think as his career was ending is when the bomber came in.
Okay.
And I've seen a couple of podcasts with Ricky Johnson and Jeff Ward. They're doing their own deal now. And they said he intimidated them more than anybody else.
Oh, Howardson did?
No, Mark Barnett.
Oh, Mark. Okay.
He wouldn't talk to him. And they did, I don't know if it was Hangtown or wherever, but it was like over 100 degrees. They ran them outdoors. They ran their motos. They were dying. They were just like drenched, exhausted. And they look over at him and he's like just chilling. And so that just totally psyched them out. It's like, is he a machine? It's like, is he really human? Yeah. So their podcasts are pretty interesting to hear the story with Jeff Ward and Ricky Johnson, how they hated each other, but respected each other. Yeah. And the stories that they have.
Jeff Ward was my guy. I was a Cali guy. So I was a Jeff. So my guy was Ward. My brother's guy was, who was my brother? Bailey. My buddy Corey's name was O'Mara. And then my buddy Chris was Rick Johnson. So we'd all go to the Supercross at the same time, and we'd all have our guys that we were pulling for.
Yeah, when Ricky got on Honda, I love watching him ride. He had that before he hurt his wrist. He just dominated. He was the bad boy.
He really did.
He really did.
Yeah, you can't argue. And because granted, other people get ahead of him, periodically, but for the most part, he was in the lead most of the time. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I think he kind of took over the mantle of the Bob Hanna, kind of how Hanna was, kind of the bad boy. Like that was kind of how I saw him, and that was the image they portrayed. Like his too hip pictures, advertising, and so no, and if you haven't watched the Anaheim 86 race between Bailey and Johnson, they didn't like each other. They had a huge rivalry because they're the same team. They wanted to be the alpha male on the team. And so if you haven't seen that race, it's epic. I'll
have to watch it.
Considered one of the greatest Supercross races ever.
And what people don't realize is that Jeff Ward went on to even bigger fame in a different sport, right? And I was like, how could you transfer from he's top shelf on a motocross bike, and then he goes and drives Indy cars and it comes within an inch of winning the Indy 500, man. Come on.
No, and actually I got to see his last race at Anaheim when he retired, and then he went into Indy. I think racing motorcycles at that level, kind of like how BMX, you can do any bicycle discipline and be successful at it.
Yeah.
Riding motorcycles, you can then go into any discipline and be successful at it because you understand the physics of it, like the sliding of the cars. And interesting enough, after he finished Indy, he started they brought back remember the Supermoto?
Yeah.
They did like the Carlsbad, and
yeah,
they did one of those races at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. And so I got to see him race that. And that was a treat. But the amazing thing with him was how short he was compared to everybody else, and just hammered on the 500. Just he was an amazing rider. And so, yeah, being that successful on a 500 doesn't surprise me that he would be successful at other racing disciplines.
Yeah.
Just he knew the fundamentals and he knew how to handle things. And because of the success, it teaches you how to pass. It just kind of like we talked about, the foundation, the base to go on to other things. No, he was anything on wheels.
He got second or third in the Indy 500 that year. Do you remember? If he got
I'm not
second?
sure why he quit, retired, but yeah, he had success in Indy.
Major success, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he drove for Chip Ganassi, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same way with like Travis Pastrana. You look at what he does, drifting, rally cars. It's because he had the fundamental base with the motorcycles. Yeah. So, no, Wardy was the man. He was like very impressive. Again, as the opposite of like Mike Bell, being that tall, being able to soak up all the whoops. Wardy was like Ricky Carmichael.
Yeah.
So just being short in stature. So.
And he was in on Any Sunday, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing on that, because he talked about that on the podcast, he was just out riding his little CX-75 or whatever he was riding, and he saw this production crew, and so he rode by them doing a wheelie. And they're like, hey, yeah. Hey, come back. Hey, can you do that again? He's like, well, sure. So he did like one or two more. I don't remember how many he said. And then he just rode off. He never went back. He never talked to him. And when he said, when he went to see the movie, there he was. Like,
oh, dude, that's hilarious, man.
I didn't even know. So, yeah, and Rick Johnson that's how he was introduced to Jeff Ward, is because he saw him at the movie and the intro or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny that he had no idea he was even going to be in the movie, and there he was, just some little redhead kid doing wheelies.
Dude, after I saw that movie, I thought Malcolm Smith was Jesus Christ on a dirt bike, dude.
He was.
I thought he was a living he was. I mean, obviously he was a living legend, but I thought he was a deity, man. Like, I worshipped. Oh my gosh, dude, that dude. I watch it and I'd get teary eyed. I mean, I'm a little kid, man. Like, you know, what was it, like maybe 10, 13 or 10, 11 or something like that. And I just, like, the tear would come to my eye, like Iron Eyes Cody, dude. I'd be like, man, dude, this guy is the shit, man. And I didn't even know that MSR was Malcolm Smith racing until like 10 years ago, dude.
Well, it's like Thor is Thorsten Hallman, I believe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, Malcolm Smith was like, he could do anything on a motorcycle. And it's interesting how every generation propels the next generation to do what they do. And like what's going on with X Games now and all that stuff. If you don't have the previous generations, you don't go forward. And so
we did a lot of desert stuff, dude. And I didn't race till I was an adult, but I mean, that's what struck a chord with me, because that's exactly what we did every weekend that we went out in the van. We're in the desert doing, doing all the hill climbing and the flat dry lakes, and then the whoop-de-doo roads and all the potholes and jumping over roads and stuff. That's what we did, and that's what turned me on. And I think that was a lot of the movie too. So that's why I related to it when I was a kid.
Yeah, we did. We went out the desert. We would go out weekends, holidays. I'd ride my RM80. Yeah, it just, things are so different now. Kids of today just missed out. I mean, I wouldn't trade. Growing up when I did, and looking at how things are now and the racing, and I wouldn't trade any of my experiences for anything. I mean, just what I got to experience. There wasn't all the housing. There was fields just everywhere. You could just, hey, let's go ride. And you'd go Palm. You could go to the desert. Yeah, it's just so different now than when we grew up.
Did you ever race pro, the big track at Supercross, or just amateur?
No. I had looked into doing the Mickey Thompson stuff, and how you had talked about or asked about what requirements to do the amateur. The Mickey Thompson, they had things you had to prove to them. So that wasn't to where you could just show up and say, hey, I want to do the Saturday night show. You had to have a resume approved by them before they would ever let you. And I had a friend that had done some Mickey Thompson races. He shouldn't have been out there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he was way overclassed. And that was not even near, because what the Mickey Thompson was, it was an off-road stadium series. They would go to Anaheim, San Diego, and they would do the trucks and buggies and Odyssey cars. And that's what they made the tracks for, one direction. And then they would line up the riders on the 250s, and they would run the track backwards. So all the jumps, I don't think any of those guys really liked the tracks, because all the jumps had just a really vertical face. But yeah, I remember Christian Craig was the one that would dominate that. He was full factory Kawasaki. But yeah, I remember I had looked into doing something like that, and I didn't have the resume for it. No, the Supercross thing, I would have been doing that, but it wouldn't have been on purpose.
So did you keep riding? So you're in your mid-20s or whatever, and proceed on. Did you keep riding? Did you keep racing, or did you call it quits?
No. Once I realized my wrist, it wasn't gonna hold up. I couldn't do it. I stopped, and then, like I said, I went into dual slalom.
What's that?
It's where they do 2x, and then now they do 4. To where you have either 2 riders, and it's like the slalom on skiing, to where you go through gates, but it's for
on dirt. On dirt, not on street.
On dirt, correct. And you would run one course, and then you'd switch.
Downhill or flat?
Some flat, but mainly downhill.
Okay.
So like Snow Summit, we did a series up there. I ended up winning one of the series for that. That was fun. It was a mano. And so you'd run the first course, you'd run the first race, and then whatever time you were ahead by, the person you were racing against had to beat you by that much to advance. So
just to make sure, we're talking about dirt bikes, not mountain bikes,
no,
right?
We're talking mountain bikes.
Okay, all right.
We're talking mountain bikes.
I was like, they had dirt bikes at Snow Summit?
No, this was all mountain bike.
Okay, all right, okay.
I did some downhill runs, but my wrist just couldn't handle it. And at some point, I couldn't handle just the pounding of it. So,
cool.
And then I went into a safer sport, skydiving, but that's a whole nother, yeah.
That's what I want to do, man. I thought about it.
I did that for 6 years and did competitive jumping in that. My feeling is everybody should do at least one, because no matter what's going on in your life, nothing matters. Because once you exit the plane, it's just, it puts everything in perspective. And yeah, that was for the most part fun.
Yeah, I had a short-lived opportunity to do that when I was in the Marine Corps, to go to jump school, and I said, "You're out of your mind. There's no way."
Well, so what they wanted you to do was static line.
Yeah.
I had no interest in doing static line.
Yeah.
And then jumping rounds. I'm sure that's what you were jumping or would have been jumping.
At night and all that crap. No thanks.
Actually, so they have different licenses, and to get the D rating, you actually have to do a night jump, which made no sense to me, but I went ahead and did it. And honestly, with all the lights, and it was like being in a movie during free fall. I mean, and they really go over everything to where when you're in the plane, you got a guy at the door and you have to point to where the landing zone is before they'll let you jump. And they space out the exit timing because you can't see, and you have to wear those neon lights attached to you. But that was the most surreal free fall with all the lights. It was like being in a movie. And then what they have you do is they have cars that were parked with their headlights. And one thing you learn is at nighttime, your depth perception is way off. And so people were crashing, coming in line all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just because your depth perception is off. But that's a whole nother podcast we can do on my pre-racing or post-racing experiences.
Yeah,
like the skydiving and then paragliding for
you're definitely a thrill seeker, man. I had a hang glider.
Did you flew?
It's a funny story, dude. I wasn't planning on telling this story, but since you brought that up, I'll tell the story. When my dad bought a hang glider at a yard sale, and we had this hang glider in our basement for so many years. And when my dad passed away, we had the hang glider, and we were kind of joking around. People would come in. He had so much stuff in his house that we couldn't bring it out. We just let people in the house, and they went through and they brought what they wanted out. And the guy shows up. One guy, and my brother was messing with him. He goes, "Whatever you want, we got it. Guaranteed. You tell me what you want." And the guy goes, "You got any water skis?" And he goes, "Hold on." So my brother ran in and brought out a single water ski out of my dad's house. Anyways, we had the hang glider at the yard sale, and someone paid us like I don't know, a couple $100 for a used hang glider at a yard sale. And we were joking around, like saying, like, dude, who the hell would do a hang glider, trust a hang glider from a yard sale, dude? But yeah, we had a hang glider for many years. And my dad would always tease us like, dude, let's go hang gliding in the world. I'm not touching that hang glider, man. So I don't know if you've ever hang glide. It's different than paragliding, right?
Different. And so paragliding, you're sitting in a kind of like a recliner, and you have a wing foil that's over your head. And the wind so 90% of the time I flew at Torrey Pines glider port. It's a very scenic. As long as the winds are over 10, you can stay up as long as you want. I did over a 3-hour flight. You just go back and forth along the coast. And basically the way it works is with the wind, as long as it's on shore, it deflects against the cliff face and goes up, and that gives you lift. So we went between 10 and 16, 10 and 17. Well, hang gliders need, like, their ideal speed is like 25 out there. I never did do the hang gliding. I have seen it was scary actually to watch them come in and land. And I'd seen a couple of people not do it correctly. So you're going downwind, and then I don't know if it's 100 feet or whatever they decided, you do your base turn, and then you're into the wind to land. And it's pretty scary to watch how fast you're going downwind, and then to judge everything correctly. But yeah, out there it's a It's safe. It's relaxing. Mountain flying for paragliding, it's a whole different animal because you got turbulence. One of the scariest flights I ever had was out in a mountain area. Yeah, that's a whole different, and it's something like that. Paragliding, hang gliding, skydiving. You want to respect what you're doing, and if you're not feeling it, you don't do it because the consequences obviously are the ultimate price. So
Yeah. It sounds like you've done every diving except for scuba diving, man.
I thought about doing scuba diving, but I actually heard that's the most dangerous
Of all.
to do because people will get wrapped up in like seaweed and they'll panic. And so, no, I have my limits. And
I want to say a joke right now so bad, dude. Can you think of the joke I'm thinking about? The type of diving?
No.
Oh, I will say it, man. Anyways, do you own a dirt bike to this day?
I don't.
When's the last time you owned a dirt bike?
The 91 Honda.
Really?
And I ended up selling that. Yeah. It just, like we talked about, riding space, riding areas basically disappeared here. I would have to end up going to the desert. I don't have a truck or a trailer. And then the will just to do everything, it didn't appeal to me. Yeah. So I own 2 mountain bikes. I set one of them up for my wife. That GT is for me. Yeah, it's kind of one of those deals where I do my thing, and then once I'm done with it, I'm kind of done with it. But I always stay a fan or interested in watching it. So like basically anything racing, F1 I'm into, moto, outdoor, Supercross, downhill mountain bikes, watching World Cups on those. So,
well, before we say goodbye, Shane, you know that you're in the lead for the $200 master prize for the trivia, right?
Yeah, and I saw how you guys had, and because nobody else before our show last week or 2 weeks ago knew about it, so that's fair. I mean, and I was going to talk to you at some point to find out, and I had actually messaged Danny how you could do like one double pointer every month, and then the grands could be the triple pointer, because I think that's how they do amateurs for the grands, is triple points.
Yeah, but nobody has reached out to me, so it might be a bust. It might be like
just you can give it the 200 if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So I don't think anybody even cares. All this thought process has gone into this thing, and no one's reached out to me. Granted, if I reach out to people, they will play, but no one's reached out to me saying that they want to play. So you may cruise to an easy victory.
Default.
Yeah, you'll be our default champion. But dude, it's been a pleasure talking to you again, Shane. I'm sorry that Danny couldn't make it. For those out there, Danny is still my co-host. He wasn't a motocross guy, so he felt that maybe he couldn't contribute to the conversation. So he got out of this one.
He could have contributed.
I know he could have, but maybe he has something better to do. But Danny will be back next week, and we had a big interview this week scheduled. I can't divulge who it was at this particular point, but next week it will be a big interview that we have. And we were contacted by a Hall of Famer that wants to come on in the near future, one of my favorite riders of all time. So hopefully we have some big stuff coming down the line. If you would like to subscribe to the channel and support us, Danny and I, or whatever. Shane, you don't have no business. You don't have nothing to promote, right?
Nothing.
But if you like to support the channel, please feel free to visit us at www.bmxpodcast.com. All the links will be in the description below. And with that being said, Shane, have a great Sunday. I appreciate your time. And hopefully we'll get Richard Kerr on again. We'll try to get him on, and we'll have a mega motocross episode with Richard. Thank you so much, Shane. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, no problem.
All right. Go Go have some fun, man. Go buy yourself a motorcycle.
Yeah, my wife would be all for that, I'm sure.
Go hang glide. Do something, man. Until next week, everybody. Thank you very much. The track is closed. Peace out. Thanks a lot, Shane.
Sure.